modalities, we have, I think, 4 presentations. First one is Angrej Singh Gill, who will be presenting on online. Then we have Ambuj Sharma. Then we have Somesh, D. Parimala. These are the 4. I think some of them will be online too, and 2 will be offline. So we'll start as per the order. Online, then I don't know, or we'll take offline first. Online, if he is ready. Okay, so we'll. Yeah, that we'll do, but we'll see online first?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll go in this order, like 4. So before that, let me say the modality, like we started a little late, and that is the case, half an hour late. So we might get half an hour towards the end, I don't know if that is the case. So we have, how many, I think 1 hour, 9 to 11, 10, 15, 1 hour, 15 minutes for this session. We have 4 presentations. What we'll see, let us present all the ideas and then we'll take Q&A, question and answer. That would be better. So all 4 will be presenting, so they will be taking, let's say, 12 to 15 minutes at max. So that will be 1 hour, then we will have 15 minutes for discussion. So 12 minutes I will give a kind of signal. Then you will be, I think you should be in a point to conclude. And not in any case you have to conclude by 14 to 15 minutes, not beyond that. So that is a request to the panelist, because otherwise we will keep delaying and all that. So other things will be disturbed because there are other programs afterwards. So in 12 minutes I will give a signal, and in 2 to 3 minutes you have to conclude. So that's the point we will go. Now the organizer, I think students will.
Request Mr. Andres to switch on his camera.
Yeah, may I request the switch on your camera, please? But that can you speak, Gil? Has he joined? So if that is the case, for the benefit of time, we can start offline and then we can take that on, because that will manage some time. So we'll start with Ambuj. So that would be great. So your time starts now. So let us, wherever you like, you can. They are.
Thank you.
There will be some introduction to you. Students are there, no? So you come.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us. Now we would like to welcome Professor Ambuj Sharma. Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. Assistant Professor of Philosophy. Dr. Ambuj Sharma is currently working as Assistant Professor and Head of Department of Philosophy, Postgraduate, Government College for Girls, Chandigarh. He was selected through UPSC, New Delhi in 2019. Dr. Sharma has had 20 years of research and teaching experience in higher education and 17 years of teaching philosophy to senior secondary students at the Dev Samaj Intermediate College for Women, Firozpur City, Punjab. Earlier, Dr. Sharma has worked as Assistant Professor and Head of Department of Philosophy at Dev Samaj College for Women, Firozpur City, from July 2002 until March 2019. His area of interest is interdisciplinary research in philosophy of education, identity or otherness, self and other, respect, honor, gender studies, caste, culture, social and political philosophy, Indian intellectual tradition. He is founding member of the Critique Firozpur chapter and Philosophical Society, a students' discussion forum of the Dev Samaj College for Women that organized weekly student seminars from various fields such as political, social and economical. He had participated and delivered lectures under the Punjab State Council of Education, Research and Training programs with an objective of bringing qualitative improvement in school education for the newly appointed teachers under Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan in the district Firozpur and Faridkot. His book, Unraveling Gandhi's Alternate Modernity, published in 2018, is significant in understanding the social and political fabric of India. Now I would like to Sir, please educate us on the topic philosophy in making and unmaking of a teacher for quality and sustainability in secondary education.
Thank you, Harkirat. Learning is mutual, and thank you for this, I think, generous sharing of Firozpur and Philosophical Society and Critique Firozpur chapter, the students who stay alive in this conference where leading thinkers and academicians who are guiding, engaging the idea of education, the hope of education to India. My submission and gratitude to Professor Anita Rampal, who's present amongst us, engaging education in her own ways and strengthening gender ideas, making more gendered society. Professor Arun Grover, my Honorable then Vice Chancellor of Punjab University. We have learned a lot through his deliberations and his personal engagement at Firozpur in engaging the idea of education, and his, push to engage philosophy more with interdisciplinarity, I think has given meaning to these student discussion forums. I cannot forget Professor Krishan Kumar, what is worth teaching, the pedagogue's romance. Sir, you have put so difficult questions and yet, interesting notes to understand what is the meaning of pedagogy. Ahluwalia sir is there, and yes, this session is not about just acknowledgements, but Pushpinder Sayal ma'am, philosophy students have not been confined to their disciplinary classes, but I think engaged in all departments of university, and there has always been welcome note by each professor in the times we studied philosophy way back in 2000, 2002. I'm here to engage the concept of a teacher and the discipline philosophy. How studying philosophy as a discipline can make a difference in a life of a teacher, where he can go into a making and unmaking for education in secondary education. So what is an idea of a teacher? And when I ask this question, who is a teacher, then how do I see it philosophically? There is a conventional mode of understanding an idea. There can be an understanding of a teacher if we look at with the bureaucratic or the notion of state, the notion of government as an employee, as a stakeholder in education. But how do we see teacher in context to secondary education? And what is philosophy before I come to it? So philosophy is, it's a critical inquiry. It's a methodology. It has no subject of its own. Philosophy is so interdisciplinary in its own sense. But having said that, do we think that philosophy has nothing to offer, something innovative, something different from other disciplines who are so disciplined in their boundaries? So philosophy is a normative inquiry. And what kind of a normative inquiry? So I'm not bringing in certain kind of, ideas which we all do not know. But philosophy makes obvious a little more obvious. You're living. You're alive. Are you really alive? I'm a teacher. Are you really a teacher? I'm a student. Are you really a student? What is it to be a student? What is it to be a teacher? So it's a normative inquiry in the sense that science offers things and science engages you with certain facts, all right? But this discipline offers you to a question how things should be, how education should be, how a teacher should be. And somebody might be baffled that it's such a wide question, it's such an abstract question. And yes, that is the complexity of the concept which we are engaging, and while making policies, we are so conveniently sitting in some corridors thinking about the kind of idea of education which we have or experienced. It is actually needed for the entire society, and a big country like India is that one has to travel. One has to go on a sociological journey of Vinod, or countless sociologists who engage through their travel, visiting society, different diverse society, and how a student who comes in the classroom, and while I'm sharing this, I'm engaging a philosophical methodology. How you look at a student, and this fundamental question of who am I? And it has been addressed by the Western and the Indian tradition. So yes, I am Ambuj. And I come from a society where I have sociological identities, I have a cultural identity. Professor Grover will going to look at me from science lens. A biologist will going to look me as a body with a heart pumping my blood and my mind. And yes, there is going to be a philosophical question how a political scientist will look at you. And as a political scientist or a student of political science, when we look at an individual, we're going to look you as a citizen. Yes, you are a citizen. And what is it to be a citizen? In a social space, in a political sense, you have a caste, you have a religion, you have a language, you have an identity, a national identity. You have a gender which you have not chosen. You have not chosen to be in Punjab or Bihar or Pakistan or Europe. You are born and you're taught and you believe. You believe comfortably. And yes, Professor Anita, yes, Professor Krishan Kumar, yes, Professor Grover, you put us in this difficult idea in universities. Do I believe what I am? When I go in my school and my teachers are engaging with me on this question, those teachers are there knowing themselves about that there is an influence of society, an influence of culture, an influence of gender, an influence of economy, an influence of caste, which comes with them. Are they aware about it? And when they're engaging in the class of social sciences and humanities, are they concerned about not falling in trap of influencing students, rather making them see that this difficult question of how you should believe. And then you question with critical thinking, you engage that critical thinking, and you engage them with this concept of doubt. Doubt to what you believe. And it's not an easy thing to doubt. In the Indian tradition, you have neti concept. But when Descartes will come and knock you and say, I think, therefore I am, and you got to doubt. So how difficult it will be when we are growing in certain cultural, social backgrounds. Is it to give up that? Or is it about a philosophical understanding about that many people are living simultaneously with us? And when you are teaching a teacher how to teach in a university, in Department of Education, and where you are having a students from universe, I'm just using this metaphor, are we sensitive about our own formation? And are we sensitive to have these difficult questions and find these difficult questions? So the state provides a different set of solution to you by providing you certain rights, by providing you certain, engagement where there is a law, there is a constitution, and you have certain rights, and yes, you have to ask for their rights, and you have to fight for those rights. But what about this space called education? What about the space called education? So a teacher, when engaging a classroom and is not being trained in the discipline of philosophy, and I should say that it's not necessarily that you learn philosophy in a philosophy class, but what is going to be a philosophical investigation? Honorable Sir, Sudhanshu Sir is present here. No new central university is having Department of Philosophy. They don't want thinking beings now. You want engineers, you want professional doctors. Professor Ahluwalia will agree with me because he has a long association with his friend Satyapal Gautam, and both of them differed and yet worked together. I was rejected in so many spaces, but yet I have to have some kind of relationship and bonding with that space. How do I see Hargun, and how do I see students, who are left behind in Firozpur, and a teacher who's teaching in a rural area, and a teacher who's teaching in an urban area? What Navneet mentioned, that a student who's starting in St. Stephen's like Professor Arun Grover, and a student who has studied in a college like Dev Samaj College for Women, they have their own dynamism, they have their own dynamics, they have their own subject. And a teacher needs to understand the culture, the sociology of that very space and place. What religion has to engage in education, creating certain values. But we are having a quick production, quick result, and what Professor Krishan Kumar says that, and he introduced this book to us called Slow Professor, challenging the culture of speed. All right, in democracy. So this is, I think, every teacher methodology, every teacher creates methodology. We need to hear stories. And we need to we need to very passionately hear those stories. A story which Rohita, who's sitting here, traveling from Dev Samaj College for Women and pursuing PhD in Baru Sahib. And the kind of communitarian engagement with Baru Sahib is engaging is not looking you as an individual, but finding your meaning in your community. Can you have any identity without a community? But what kind of harmony, what kind of bond it will bring? So are the education system questioning the inequalities of caste? The inequalities of the inequalities which creating kind of violence? Well, I think everything goes from the boundaries of education and how educators are looked at. I won't go into the challenges of an educator, but educators need to rethink about what is it to educate, and what is it to be a teacher, and what is it to, and I will not use the word quality. Professor Krishan Kumar will ask me, can there be education without a quality? We're using a term called quality with education. So yes, whether it is Paul Ferrari, whether it is in the Indian context, we may have countless names in Chabba, Changali, Harde Alyana, Usa Dal Singh, Piruwala, where a teacher remember a student's name from the village, and where a teacher name is associated with a village. But in that very village, when we are constructing humanities and social sciences, we are deconstructing gender, we are deconstructing caste, we are deconstructing the, structural violences which comes with the teacher oppressing one student with a kind of arrogance of knowledge, or say, I don't know what to say about it. But thank you, Dr. Pradeep. I've taken too long. I'll stop here. But yes, it is a continuous evolution. And we need teachers to ask these difficult questions like Professor Anita, Professor Krishan Kumar, and Professor Harjinder Singh Laltu from IIIT Hyderabad as a he would sit with humanities students, and these discussion forums needs a special place. Badu Sahab Student Akal Academy, I have one institution to name, and that is Kudduwala, where the students who come in the class feel happy that they are engaging creatively. And here in this international conference, the students are introducing, moderating along with a moderator, which is, I think, strengthening this bond. So I'm glad that I got an opportunity to reach out to books written by people who are present here and beyond. And of course, this engagement is important, and Professor Ahluwalia, it is needed, because when you come on stage and you say, you reflect, it gives you strength that when you go back in your own space, you have this, hope to construct that critical thinking and to doubt, not to believe. And if you don't have doubts, you cannot create a beautiful belief of humanity. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you, Ambuj, for bringing an interesting idea. A major stakeholder of the education system, teacher, reflecting that very philosophically. So now we'll go to the next one. We'll have one online presentation now from Gile. Okay.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us. I request Dr. Gill to please turn on his camera. Now we invite Dr. Ingrid Singh Gill, and he will be joining us virtually. Sir will be speaking on the topic Private Sector in Secondary Education. Dr. Ingrid Singh Gill, Assistant Professor, University of Punjab. Dr. Ingrid Singh Gill is working as Faculty of Economics at Punjab University Rural Centre, Kauni Shri Muktsar Sahib, Punjab. Dr. Gill is a gold medalist for securing first position in MA Economics at Punjabi University, Patiala. His major area of interest is economics of education. Dr. Gill has authored numerous research papers published in prominent research journals like Economic Political Weekly, and edited books published by internationally reputed publishers such as Sage, Routledge, Emerald, Palgrave, Macmillan, to name a few. He has reviewed several research papers for journals like Sage and Emerald. He has also written articles published in the Tribune. Dr. Gill has not only presented papers in various national and international conferences and seminars, but also delivered talks as a resource person on diverse themes in economics of education. He has recently completed a major research project from Azim Premji University titled State Market and Universalization of Elementary Education in Punjab. We welcome you, sir. Please enlighten us.
Hello?
Can you hear us?
Please unmute.
Please let me know when should I start with my...
Yes, sir, you're ready, sir. Sir, we're ready for you. Dr. Gill, we are ready for you. Yes, please. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Just give us another minute.
हेलो 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 गिल सर।
हाँ जी सर।
हाँ जी बोलिए सर।
हेलो सर,
बोलो
आवाज आ
सर
रही मेरी?
बोलो। हाँ जी आ रही है जी।
हाँ जी। तो सर मैं प्रेजेंटेशन स्टार्ट
स्टार्ट
करूँ
करूँ
अभी
अभी
या
या
शुड आई
शुड आई
वेट?
वेट?
Sir, we are ready for you.
Okay, okay, okay. So I'm assuming कि मेरा this is my time to present. So I'm going to present. Hello.
हेलो
Hello.
डॉक्टर
Dr.
प्रदीप।
Pradeep.
Please go ahead, sir. We can hear you.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Respected chair and my dear friends, a very good morning to you all. Friends, the topic on which I'm going to talk is private sector in. एक ना आवाज आ रही, please can you mute yourself? Someone has. Yes, thank you. The topic on which I'm going to talk is private sector in secondary education, a critical assessment. Friends, in order to give some interesting insights, I'm going to conduct my talk on the basis of a primary survey which we conducted in the state of Haryana. In fact, we selected 300 households in the state of Haryana by way of using multi-stage stratified random sampling method so that we could select representative data. Friends, we used semi-structured interview schedule for collection of the data. Besides it, we also went for focus group discussions from school teachers, school administrators and all, so that we could provide, we could get additional insights. So friends, if we see, if I broadly see the theory regarding provisioning of secondary education, there are two approaches. One approach is that, which is nowadays also termed as orthodox approach. This approach is that secondary education is a public good, and there are several externalities associated with it, and there is market failure. So the state should play a predominant role in provisioning of secondary education. This is one approach, which is also called nowadays orthodox approach. Another approach, friends, is that which is given by neoliberals, the economists like Milton Friedman and several other experts. Another approach is that the state failed to deliver quality education at secondary level and other levels of school education. So the private should be allowed to operate. It should be given major role in provisioning of education due to competitiveness among the schools. Not only the quality of education will increase, the efficiency will also be enhanced, and parents will get greater school choice options, and so on. Such arguments are being given. Friends, in India, 1991, several economic reforms were introduced. We know very well, and the private sector entered in school education market in a big way on the one hand, and on the other hand, we know very well the public spending on education, particularly at secondary level, was drastically reduced. So friends, after 40 years of neoliberal economic reforms in India, so what has been the scenario of a private sector? So friends, on the positive side, if we see the positive contribution of private schools at secondary level in Haryana, I'm giving information from the ground. We found that during the survey, we found that private schools, the quality of private schools is better compared to the government school. This is the first observation. I'm not saying the quality is excellent. It's better compared to government schools. First thing. Second, physical infrastructure is also definitely better in private schools. Third thing is that particularly in the context of rural schools, private schools. The government schools in the rural areas in Haryana do not provide options, several streams like medical and non-medical education. In most of the government schools at rural level is not available, and private schools provide this. So this is the contribution of private schools. They provide bigger options to the households. Moreover, within arts segment, we found that several subjects like economics, mathematics, which are difficult subjects, they are less available in government schools. But however, in case of private schools, they are available. So this is the positive contribution of private schools in Haryana. Now, on the flip side, if I talk about critical evaluation, the negative aspects. So friends, there are two concepts which we need to discuss at first. The first one is profitability, and another is philanthropy. Philanthropy means donations and all. Friends, we know very well in pre-1991 period, the private schools in Haryana, I'm talking from the ground, the private schools in Haryana used to exist not for profit. They used to exist for providing philanthropic activities, charity, and providing the services like meeting the excess demand which the public sector failed to do so, and the differentiated demand. The private schools basically in those times they voluntarily agreed with the various norms and conditions laid down by the government, because their objective was not to earn profits. But however, in post-1991 period, what has happened, the private schools are different. Although education is a not for profit activity in India as per Government of India's rules and regulations, we found that the private schools operating in Haryana, most of the private schools operating in Haryana, their main agenda was to earn profit by using several tactics. On the one hand, we found that the private schools tried to maximize the contributions from students in form of fees and funds. Friends, in fact, when we discussed these things with the school administrators and school teachers, we found that there are no donations for the private schools, no philanthropy. Actually, schools are financed by the fee structure, contributions from students. Solely they were relying on these. And the schools, even as per the information provided by the households and school teachers, the schools try to get maximum possible fees from the students. Even when we talk in the context of books and stationery, from there they were also again rent seeking. The main thing is that the books they prescribe was based on commission system. The book publisher who gives maximum commission to the schools, those books were prescribed for the students on the grounds of quality books rather than the books of NCERT and all. Means their main agenda is to earn profit. In most of the cases, I'm saying. Same is true with regards to the dresses, the uniform, etc. The same problem was found. And on the other hand, when we see from the context of investment by private schools, the investment, capital investment, whatever they made, was recovered in a very short period of time. And whenever they make a new investment, it is basically for two purposes.
Hello, Gil Saab. Can you hear me? Hello.
I can hear you, sir.
Can you conclude in 1.5 minutes? 2 minutes maximum.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Actually, there are many things, sir, I wanted to share.
No.
Because we conducted a survey and we found several things regarding private schools. So, briefly, I would say, although private schools, because the government substantially reduced public spending on secondary education, so the private school definitely provided better quality quality than government schools. But during the survey, we found that the quality was not excellent. In fact, the households in Haryana, they were unaware about what actually constitutes quality education. There is asymmetry of asymmetric information. I will tell you in detail if you will ask me about it. There is asymmetric information. Households presume that if they are given their children homework, excessive homework, then it is quality education. Moreover, the private schools also had obsession